don't like, I'm going to let a philosophy, do you know what I mean? So like, don't let, just, I'm going to make it work for me, this philosophy, do you know what I mean? Let your philosophy work on you. Like, really, really, like, bolster down, you know, have some convictions and discipline. It takes, like, you know, think about your morals, man. Like it takes some real conviction to be something and live in tune with that. And like, and the stuff that you get from it is powerful, you know, like, that's like standing up to yourself almost, because it's very easy to give in to your pleasures. It's very easy to say, oh, I'm sacking it off today, you know, I'm just going to do what I want, you know, but like, it takes conviction to be.
You put a post out today.
I did.
Saying you're the alchemist.
That's right.
If you allow it.
Exactly. Yeah.
What does that mean for you? Yeah. If you allow it, I think that stands out.
Yeah. I mean, if you allow it, so I suppose often at times we don't really learn from the lessons that we're being gifted, and they are gifts. And I think recognizing them as gifts is important. I mean, sometimes we go through the most awful heartbreak and hardship, and we just see it as a negative, and then sometimes we may distract ourselves with certain things in life, pleasures, whatever it may be, and we avoid doing the true work. And the true work, I think the true work is, number one, accountability, but the alchemical process of actually realizing that the stuff that you're going through right now will be the stuff that helps you grow to the person that you deserve to be and want to be as well at the same time. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it's having that introspective thought to know that you're going through a process, and to actually sit with it and to use those things that you're learning to alchemize your life into the life that you want.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it stood out for me, like, if you allow it, 'cause there's so much potency in us not allowing ourselves to be free. Absolutely. Or us being in the way of what it is we're trying to achieve, or a state that we think we're wanting to get to.
Yeah.
So us being in the way of that, I always say, like, you need to get out your own way. And what does that actually mean? It's really, for me, like, your head gets in the way of your true self, your true nature, the stories that you bring in, the beliefs that you have about, like, what's not possible, what is, or what's in the way.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think, as like you say, your belief system is so much, like, so in your way, you know, that I think, like, at core, it's believing you can change, you know, believing that you can, this hardship, you're like, coming away from that victim mentality. You know, sometimes you're like, oh, why me? Why am I going through this process? You know, like, and I could do everything I wanted to in my power to, like, you know, to distract myself from it, you know, whether it be drink, drugs, sex, whatever, you know, or even just like social media, or I don't know, people overtrain, you know, stuff that's seen as quite healthy could be, you know, it could be a distraction from actually just sitting with the process. And I don't just mean like literally sitting, the part of that is literally sitting, but I mean like the actual just like feeling, you know, understanding, maybe it takes some journaling, maybe it takes some meditation, and then actually believing that this sort of stuff that I'm getting, you know, I could have a new belief. I can change my belief system so that I become, you know, more. I become more from that. Yeah.
When did that flip for you then? And that belief, the power of belief, really.
Yeah.
So when did that flip and you believed it was possible to even just sustain a better life for yourself? Or
well, I mean, I come from kind of like a negative background where I say negative, I say it was negative then, but now I've alchemized it, you know, it's become quite positive, and now I use these negative experiences that I had growing up and through my teens and through my adolescence, like, for understanding with people and helping them with their work, you know, through the breath and through, you know, sharing some wisdom that I've gathered. Because once you separate the emotion from those negative situations, you know, you're left with the wisdom, you're left with the gift that is, you know, inside the hardship. And I think when it flipped for me was, I don't think it's like a direct path. I feel like you level up over time, and maybe level up is the wrong terminology, but like your belief system changes over time. And I think initially the first change for me was like, I took myself to uni. After all that hardship, I went back to college, and, you know, after being homeless and addicted to drugs and, you know, and partying hard and, you know, fighting, whatever it may be, you know, I packed all that in, got myself to uni, and then, you know, I actually came back and slipped back into those things. So it's not a straight path. And recently I've gone through a bit of a breakup, but the lessons that I'm learning from that now are things that, like, I needed now, you know. So your belief system changes over time, and it's what you need at the right time, you know. I feel like you're going to keep repeating those mistakes and keep repeating those lessons if you don't alchemize the process.
Yeah, comes back to the alchemy.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
So It's interesting, even when I ask that question, there's a part of me, and I see this in even an audience, or when you're listening to someone else's story, you kind of want the moment, you want the kind of shortcut to the healing.
That's it. Yeah.
So I want that from you. You should just tell me exactly where it was, so then I can pinpoint it and then not do that, or do that.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to like just state what it's not as linear or as like
it never is.
As direct as this was the thing.
Do you know what?
That to be the case.
It's so true, because funnily enough, right now I'm going through that process of doing this work on myself right now, and I'm like, like I've learned some amazing tools over the years for like change and stuff like that, and like and I'm still the person who's like there's got to be a quick route to this healing. There's got to be a quick route to this growth. Like if I just think differently, or or like train more or something, then it'll be quicker. But really, like there's no time limit to it, really. It's just like, as long as you're willing to sit with it and learn, eventually you'll get the gift from it. And I think that's what we forget, is that like you could slip a few times as well, and it's okay to slip, as long as you're like jumping back up and being accountable and doing the work again.
So you mentioned sitting with it, and you also mentioned journaling, or writing.
Yeah.
So what do those processes look like for you, even now?
Oh, I mean, I love writing. I think if anyone looks at my social media, they'll see that I love writing, and I do share stuff vocally, but I think really my passion comes in writing. And I really feel like it's a really good release for me, but also for everyone, really. It depends who the person is, of course. Everyone's got their own release, but like for me, the writing, getting stuff down onto paper, making it tactile, has been such a release of certain things. And I think the stuff that I do write and share, for the most part, is stuff that I'm going through, or stuff that I'm thinking about, or stuff that I'm working with. So everything that I'm writing, I like to write from the heart. And even if it's just writing to myself, to be honest. So I'm going through this process at the minute. And I think this is a great way to change something in your life, and maybe romanticize the future and how it's going to be once you've done the process or done the work. And I started writing a story, and I started writing it chapter by chapter. So I started writing, I'm going to write about a beautiful adventure that is my life, and it will be, romanticize the future. And I started like just by writing and just, ebbing and flowing with it, allowing it to come. And then it like ended up into a chapter. So it was like, this chapter's called Chrysalis. And at this moment in time, I'm doing the work in the chrysalis, and I'm going into depth with that, really letting it spill out onto the page. And then the next chapter might be, coming out of that chrysalis and stepping into that butterfly, that moth, whatever it may be, and stepping into that process. And that's not to say, the chapters will be different for each person, but yeah, that's just how I'm working with it at the minute. That's just my version of things, but like I think the creative process, that's important. I think that's how we sort of can shift things and let stuff out. Yeah, we can put that, if it's pain or if it's suffering or if it's whatever it may be, you can channel it into something creative, like art even, painting, something like that. Yeah, that's a great way to channel it.
Yeah, I think creativity sometimes gets missed in the human experience, or gets kind of forced out of us in a way.
Yeah.
But it's very crucial to the integration process of like creating and using that creative energy to marinate in the thing that you have learned, but then getting to the thing that you want to be.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
I think you're exactly right, and I think as well is that like that creative process brings you out of that survival mode. A lot of the time when you're surviving, you're not creative, because you're just thinking on surviving, and when you're not surviving, it gives you the opportunity to be creative. So, I mean, maybe you can skip a step there in a way by like, or maybe skip the step isn't the right terminology, but you could come out of your survival mode by just leaning into being a bit more creative, doing something you wouldn't normally do, writing, painting, maybe you sing, write some music.
Yeah, I think it's uncomfortable.
Yeah, it is.
Definitely for me to be creative, or even challenge myself to feel that that's productive.
Yeah, that's it.
Because we want a marker, and creativity can't be measured. That's why it's not in schools.
That's it. Yeah,
it's you just can't. You can't like bring it into a data piece and just analyze whatever it might be. But it's very important to reframe that.
Yeah, I think as well is that like everything. I mean, I don't know about your experience, but like creativity often gets monetized. People are like trying to like monetize their creativity. Like maybe you do crochet or something like that, and everyone's like, oh, I mean, you should market that. But maybe you're just doing it for yourself and for your own benefit. Maybe you're putting your emotions into something, and and maybe you will sell it, maybe you won't, but like just do it for you. Creative process. I think I'm reading Rick Rubin's book at the minute. It's a great book, and he talks about how like the creativity doesn't just like it isn't really yours. You're pulling it out from the ether, And if this idea comes out of you, you know, like, it's time to express it, you know. And if it's not, it'll express, you know, expressed through you, sorry, it'll be expressed through someone else. So, you know, if it's come to you, you know, tap into that wisdom. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, good lens.
Yeah.
So the conscious man, when did that come in?
So the conscious man, like,
and what have you felt online when people have a perception of what it means to be a conscious man?
Yeah,
because it provokes feelings within me when I love getting people on who have slightly triggered me.
Yeah.
Honestly, well, especially men trigger me way more than women do, which is interesting. But who does trigger me in that sense? I'm like, oh, I need to get to know this guy more.
Yeah, fair.
And I'm like, I lean into that. I think it was like some American president who said, this man frustrates me. I need to get to know him more. Yeah,
that's great. Yeah,
it's interesting. Not that he frustrated me.
No,
I just think it was the conscious man. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
it's a bit of a tagline, isn't it? You know, and it can be like, it comes with some connotations of itself, but like, and it's not to say that I'm like a fully actualized conscious man. It's to be that, like, a conscious man is someone who's working on himself, and, you know, is willing to be accountable, and knows he's getting it wrong, knows he's got some work to do, and he'll forever have some work to do, and it will grow over time. And I think as well is that, like, the business itself is actually called the Conscious Self, and like, it started out as the Conscious Man, and I sort of developed that page, but like, I feel like it's conscious is a great word to use, you know, when we're talking about, like, I mean, there's so many words out there, like, you know, becoming spiritually aware and such as that, but like, just to be conscious, you know, to be aware of yourself, to be introspective, to look at yourself in the mirror and be accountable for the things that, like, maybe we are aware of, but maybe we aren't being accountable for, you know, like, that's conscious man. That's the conscious man. And it's not to say I'm the conscious man, you know, like, because, you know, I still do unconscious stuff too, you know, I'm only human, you know.
We have to, right? It's linked to our survival. It's linked to being unaware, and programming things in to be subconscious is directly linked to you getting up in the morning.
Yeah.
And if you had to learn everything again, or you were so conscious of what it is you needed to do or had to do, it wouldn't work. It needs to be, we need to have that, like, we wouldn't have a subconscious if it didn't benefit us.
Yeah.
But it's the paradigm of our times that's like, okay, how can we, like Krishnamurti said, it's like the crisis is a crisis. I'm going to do it in his voice. It's a crisis of consciousness. It's like the sickness is in the way we see things, and the conscious beliefs, collective and individual that we have.
Yeah.
But it's a fascinating conversation. We could talk about that.
It is.
The whole time.
No, I like that a lot. I like what you said there as well, because it is. I suppose you give yourself more things to be conscious about, more things to be worried about.
Yeah, a big theme of my life has been self-conscious.
Yeah.
And like the difference between being conscious and self-conscious. Because I introspected a lot growing up, and, you know, answering the call, like diving into what I knew I needed to look at, to work on, to get feedback from, or how I was being perceived in certain environments. But it started to have negative aspects to it, which was being really self-conscious, which moved me away from being present.
Yeah, and into self-loathing and stuff as well.
Yeah, exactly. It was like the sabotaging the present moment from all the introspection and the awareness that I thought I needed.
Yeah,
it's interesting because there's definitely light and dark sides of being conscious.
There is, certainly is.
Yeah,
I think you're right. You're so right. I think, like, it's if you've been gifted that monologue, that introspective thought, like, you do right to use it. You know, like, I think everything you've got, every part of you is probably a gift. And it is that, because I can relate to that so much. I was so introspective as a kid, and like, I took through my teen stuff, took a lot of drugs and a lot of drink, and that made me more introspective in a paranoid way, in a self-deprivating way. I was really, like, sad and really, really aware of myself in situations, conversations especially. You know, like, I would, like, analyze what I was going to say before I said it, then say it, then analyze it afterwards. You know, so there is that side of the coin, and I think maybe conscious self-awareness is great. But being overly self-aware, not being in the moment as well. I think it's what you bring your consciousness to. It's what you bring your level of consciousness to, you know. And it's like, and it's when as well, because there is times when you should be in the flow state, you know, in the zone. And I mean, Thai boxing for me has been one of those things, like almost like a meditation, you know, like do something that's like out of your, you know, out of your regular thinking, break your routine, you know, bring consciousnus to certain things in life.
Yeah, how long have you been on that journey of kind of connecting with your physical?
Like I did Krav Maga for a little while, and I did
No idea what that is.
It's
Krav
Maga. It's like Israeli armed guard special forces fighting technique. They're like it's like lethal stuff. I don't really know much about it. You know, it was kind of just my edge into stuff.
Did you go in the army, or did you?
No, I've never been in the army. No, it was just taught in a local sports hall. Lovely fella called John, and then I moved into doing a little bit of boxing, and then I moved into Muay Thai. So I found Muay Thai when I was 19. It really saved me, Muay Thai. Yeah, it was like. It was everything at the time, you know. I really needed Muay Thai. I didn't know it at the time, but like it kind of was a catalyst for all this, if you like, you know, for this coming to consciousness.
Saved you from what?
Oh, saved me from drugs, drink. It saved me from myself, really. You know, I was just sort of like, I didn't like myself. You know, I didn't like myself a lot. Lack of discipline, lack of support, really, for the right peer group. You know, and like I found a gym with a good heart and good people, great coaches. I think maybe like it wasn't just the Thai boxing, you know, it was the people, and it was having a great coach, a great few coaches really, Sam Bainbridge, Glenn Horman, Paul Pearson, who's my coach now, Matthew Smith, you know, great friends now, you know, but like, you know, great coaches as well. I think that's important as well. I think as a young man, not really having a positive male role model in my life, like that gave me that, you know, that gym mentality, because it's like a family of its own.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And the respect you can garner in that space is pretty powerful.
Yeah, exactly. I think like there's a like a misrepresentation of boxing gyms and Thai boxing gyms, you know, as this place where thugs go and like, you know, like lump each other, you know what I mean? But it's not that. And especially in a Thai gym as well, there's a lot of bowing and respect. And, you know, even at sparring, it's all about play. We're not trying to hurt each other. We're just trying to bring each other on. The camaraderie, you know, that's something is very important. Very important for a man to have that camaraderie with other men as well. Yeah. Something we might lack quite a bit in society.
So back in the day, what were you getting from the drugs and the alcohol that you were missing? What do you think that was giving you?
I mean, to start with, it was escapism from having a rough childhood and not really wanting to be where I was, you know, not really wanting to be in the moment, and I went through this phase of just like, I just want to experiment, you know, I want to try it all, you know, and it was like an escape from what was going on in reality, and it felt really good.
Well, that's the thing, it almost works, right?
Yeah, it does.
Exactly that. It's like you're doing the thing that almost works.
Yeah, literally.
You're like almost free from it.
Yeah. But the flip side of that, yeah, like you say, I got these great feelings when I initially did it. And then like later down the line, you know, the stuff comes back to kick you even harder than you were being kicked in reality, you know, and it was just like you've not dealt with anything. The introspective thought got deeper. I became paranoid. I even ended up with drug-induced psychoses of certain drugs, you know, really unwell for quite a bit. And there was no escaping from it in the drugs in the end, and there was no escaping from it in real life because you just amplify everything with it. And I think that's what, unfortunately, we forget, is that, like, you know, yes, briefly you might get some escapism from it, but you keep going down that road, you know, they come to haunt you.
Yeah. I mean, I'm aware of people my age still going down that route, and I can't speak for their experience now because I've very much removed myself from those spaces. But it was a big part of my connection of how I saw myself in the world, of like how I connected with others on like a deeper level.
Yeah.
Because it can work both ways, but alcohol can definitely bring you closer to people or feel like you're closer.
Yeah.
It's like it brings you closer to the moment as well, because you let go of all the stories and the things that you have every day and the importance of certain things and the responsibilities you have, and it is a real escape. Like, it's a real big escape from everything.
Yeah, you chuck your inhibitions away, don't you, and sort of become present. And there's that old adage, isn't there, that like alcohol's your true self coming out. I just don't believe that. Like, I don't believe that, not at all. I feel like it's like, yeah, the barriers are down, but what comes out, like I don't think that's your true self. I think your true self would be able to flow and live just and smoothly and morally, and without, you know, having to ingest like a substance to navigate, you know. Like, I feel like, you know, that's just. And they say, like, it's, you know, what do they say? Like, a drunk mind speaks a sober heart. Yes, you might let that go. You might let some stuff go, but is it coming from the right place when you say it? Is it the right thing to say at the right time? You know, it's a lot to do with is like, you know, are you telling the right people as well? You know, that's so important how it's received.
Absolutely. I think the environment that you can catch yourself in, and when drinking, you can start saying things, doing things that aren't you really. They're within you because you have the capacity for it all.
Yeah, that's it.
Those environments can end up with me even just acting in ways that are not linked to who I want to be or who I really am. It's just that environment's providing me with maybe there's just more, I just have more accepting of ways in which I can act and I don't want to be. The true self's so important. It probably comes back down to the consciousness that we exist in. I'd love to know what you define as that true self. Like, was the true essence of you? It's like one of the biggest questions.
That's going to take a second to think about. The true essence of you. I think it's the true essence of you is when you can live authentically in the world and not loathe yourself for that. Not like dislike yourself for living authentically in the world, but also not live authentically at the cost of someone else. You're not live authentically in in a detrimental way. Like I'm just living my best life and it doesn't matter who I hurt. That's not living authentically. Like I feel like you can live your true self and be out there in the world and just, I think, enjoying the process, the ups and downs, the lows and the highs, and just a really authentic living. I think that would be living authentically.
Yeah, nice. And when did you start creating the spaces for others, and how did that all creep in?
Okay, so through Thai boxing again. So Thai boxing sort of like, it's been a journey over the years. It saved my life a couple of times. It saved my life from saved me from myself originally, going down a bad path. I was like a burglar and a thief, and I was a criminal at one point. And it gave me discipline, focus, but after, like in between fights, I'd go out and party again, and then back to the grind, training again, and eventually I realised I couldn't do this. And I had this. I came back from uni once I got myself to uni. I sorted my life out, went to uni, came back from uni, and I got back into the things that I used to get back into. So I got back into drinking, drugs, and selling drugs and whatever else, and I got myself addicted to Xanax in the process. So benzodiazepines, and I was a mess, man. Like the lowest of the low. Like I wanted to kill myself every day. I can't describe to you the pain that I went through. It was so rough, so rough. And I couldn't even get out of bed. I couldn't get out of the house. It was terrible, to be honest. And my mum only lives a couple of doors up from me, and they had an intervention for me. They come round and say, you need to sort this out. We can't keep seeing you doing this to yourself.
So do you have that awareness at the time that kind of the responsibility that wasn't there, like the awareness to know that there was a different way in or a different path to choose from?
I was going through these periods of time where I'd ingest them, I'd enjoy it for a little bit. The enjoyment sort of frazzled out. I wasn't enjoying it in the end, and then I'd have these severe bouts of depression in between taking them again as well. And I'd go around my mum's and I'd say I'm having a really tough time and that, and I'm like, well, stop taking them effing tablets, and so the awareness was there that I needed to stop doing it, but I wasn't being accountable. I wasn't conscious of that as much as I should have been. So the intervention happened, and there was a lot of just suffering. It was just like going through the cold turkey phase. I just quit, and I was like cold turkey, hallucinations, you name it. It was awful. But when I could finally stand back up, and I forced myself to go, and I forced myself to go Thai boxing, and I'm so glad I went. So glad I went. And that was my lowest low. I've had some tough times, but that was my lowest low. And Thai boxing, and it was like, even after the first session, I was like, you know what? I feel so much better. And just keep going and going and going and going. It's been like almost religious since then, 3 times a week religious. I've had a little bit of period off here and there, but
what's it like with the period off? Because sometimes we can go from one thing to another and it can be an extreme. I think, as you pointed to earlier, it's like, what's the thing that we've moved into, and is that a healthy relationship? So again, the training can become another escape, if you like. Overdoing it, not actually sitting there and thinking about stuff. And there will be at times I probably have used Thai boxing for that, but I think now especially, if I have some time off, it's not so bad. But there is always that urge to be like, I need to get back in the gym. I want to get back in the gym. So but I've I think now more because I love it. I love the sport. I love the learning and stuff. I'm
I'm getting a little bit older. I'm getting a few more knocks, you know. But like, I love it. I love the people down in the gym. I love my trainer, you know. Like, and I come away feeling like, you know, amazing out of it, you know. So it's I'll probably always train something. Whether or not my body.
So that was the platform to then move into the stuff you're doing now.
That's it. Yeah. Sorry.
So good. I'm here to keep that directional.
Yeah. So Muay Thai led to a lot of discipline in my life, like a lot of discipline, and I just started like wanting to learn more about myself. So I started reading, you know, and like university was that for me as well. That started like.
So one other point, the motivation, because I always notice this is like, what's the motivation for change? And it's sometimes, in a sense, that was true for you, is like, it's possible to feel better.
Yeah.
Like coming from the gym and feeling really connected. Like there's actually no other supplement for going into a workout and coming out. Like no coffee, no stimulants.
Nothing
actually does that. And it's a beautiful feeling. Presence that comes from that, and the connection. Like, even now, like lifting heavy weights for me, it's like, it's fucking very powerful.
Do you know what? And like, and it's underrated as a spiritual experience, because this physical body, this physical presence that you have, is your first connection to the spiritual realm. And like, and I say this to people quite a lot, and I'm like, if you're not looking after it, and if you're eating shit, and if you're, you know, you're not moving it, you know, like, how can you be connected to your spiritual self? And I know when I'm going through periods of fasting, and I'm training right, and my mind's right, and my body's right, you know, like, I feel like when my meditations are deeper, richer, more still, you know, I feel more present in day-to-day life.
Still, yeah.
Yeah.
Just the posture and the way you hold yourself. I catch myself, even after like big yoga sessions, or I got into real Bikram a lot, and it was doing so much for the physical. It's the antenna, right? It's to get that in, and that's what yoga's predicated on. It's like getting your physical structure in a position that you can then like be still and connect. And I used to notice after a Bikram class where I'd just be on the dance floor, or like be in uni, like studying, and I just noticed, I haven't really moved for a while, like, and I felt so present just in my body.
Yeah.
And it's just, there's a significance there to the physical practice. I've always thought that comes first. That it doesn't really matter whatever way is your way in, but the physical feels so much more. It just makes more sense to get right first, and then, as you said and articulately, like, it is your first connection point to the earth. Like, you move before anything.
Exactly.
Move before you breathe. Move before you eat. It's like, it is your movement in your body. We can't deny the physical.
No, not at all. Not at all. And again, like this whole spiritual, you know, the whole circle, if you like, you know, or triangle, whatever symbol is for you, you know, like the mind, body, spirit. But like, it is everything. You know, it is everything. You can't negate one and expect to be great in the other. You know, it's out of balance. It's out of kilter. And it's like what you say about your connection to the earth as well. And like, and I think that's an important point to make, is that like, your physical being is your connection to this. You know, it's your most primal, instinctive thing, you know, is to be physical in this world. I mean, like, there's no way in life that we would be sat down staring at a computer screen for 8 hours a day. No way. You know, you'd be out in nature with your feet on the earth, and you would be moving. You know, you would be moving.
There's this I heard somewhere, if any other animal acted the way that we do, sat down for 8 hours, maybe a couple of half an hour break or whatever, you'd think it was sick. And we don't see ourselves through that lens. Like, if you ever saw whatever animal it is, if they don't move for half an hour, if they're not sleeping, it's like, you'd think they're really ill, and you'd be concerned, but we don't think about that.
But we are ill, you know, like a lot of us are ill, you know.
I was thinking about that on the way here, because when you come out to these vast open lands, they're just like so raw and real. It's like, this feels, your nervous system just will shift.
Yeah, it certainly does.
And it's like, okay, I feel different. And it's like, it's because it's like the Chris McCandless Into the Wild.
It's my favourite film.
Same.
I absolutely love it.
And he's like, sick society. And he's talking about the, like, and what I experienced coming in to the moors or whatever, Pennines, and it's just like, and there's the moment in the film where he goes, I just want to be in it. I want to be in it. I just want to be there. He does these like actions, and it's like, it is that. It's the fucking raw craziness of the world that we just kind of nullify and like
exactly.
put into like frames and boxes.
The correlation between why we're sick and how we're living, it's obvious. It's kind of obvious. And I think like we talk about that model of health again, is that model of health is natural living. Is living more in tune with what we naturally are. I'm not saying you have to go back out and survive in nature and build a shack and spear a deer. You don't have to, but you do. I think you do have to. You do have to live as close to your natural cycle. Getting up, setting your circadian rhythm. Maybe bathing in cold water. These are just small things, but like having a bit of presence in nature. And just spending some time. Just like connecting back to what you really are, to your true nature. It's part of that.
Absolutely. And just understanding what we have to do is bring more conscious awareness into how we're living. What was so normal for us for so long, and what is now happening, and what has happened in a short space of time. I love that the same word in Spanish, to isolate, means to insulate.
Oh, okay.
So when we isolate ourselves from natural elements or the outdoors or temperature, we isolate ourselves from that. We put ourselves in these isolated, insulated homes. So when we insulate ourselves, we insulate our feet, we insulate our bodies with clothes, with the walls, the temperature. And then we isolate ourselves at the same time. So it's exactly the same. And when you can really get that, it's a powerful reframe of like, okay, what are my needs? How can I get them met? And cold is an amazing way in for that. I'm launching a 21-day cold water challenge.
Oh, you're champion.
Very soon. It's like third year in a row I've done it now.
Oh, I'd love to take part in that actually, because I'm in the river every day, to be fair.
You'll just I'll give you a little free pass. I mean, it's a beautiful container that every day you're just posting like a tick essentially. It's nothing more than that. It doesn't need to be, but every day there's a challenge that should you use to take it, and it's just a way in for people just to connect back with the connection to themselves essentially, and just how to kind of take that time, but also move into another season without resistance. We often create a story about what the cold means, and the cold is the biggest teacher around seasons and what we can lean into and get from. Exactly. It's the more you lean in, the more kind of it can change the story and the narrative you have about what the seasons are.
And about your connection to nature around the seasons as well. And I think a lot of people are waiting all winter for summer to come again, or maybe some people are waiting all summer for winter to come again. It depends on the person, but to be outside and appreciate each season for what they are, that's so important. And it's funny actually, you were talking about coming over the fells into the rural landscape and stuff, and this time of year, it is more raw because everything's changing, and it's a little bit, there's mist in the air, it looks a little bit
eerie.
Eerie is right. Exactly the right word. A little bit
real,
of mist in the valley.
Just real.
Exactly. And it speaks to a more primal part of you, a more instinctive part of you. It's something's occurring within me and on the outside of me as well.
As within, so without.
Yeah,
man. Okay, so creating the spaces.
Okay,
let's go back there. So when did that start making sense? Were you just creating the space? People were joining you?
So initially, I was down the Thai boxing route, and then the discipline led to meditation. I thought, it can't just be the body. It's doing so much for my mind, but I've also got to harness my mind. Still going through some mental health stuff at the time, of course. And I was like, meditation is the way in. So I started meditating. Not really, just on and off, and then meditation sort of led to yoga. And I noticed when I was doing the yoga, I was having releases on the mat. I'd start bubbling up and crying. I was like, what is that? I didn't realise what that was, and I didn't understand why I was doing it. They were lovely moments at the same time. I was like, I needed that. I don't know where it came from, but yeah. And then it slowly led to breath work. And then I'm going to be totally honest. I was sort of learning my breath work and sort of thinking about doing this sort of thing and how am I going to teach this breath work, doing my course in it. And I had some psilocybin, and I had this moment in nature where I was just I was out with the lads actually, some of the lads who I used to work with, and we were just having fun in the woods, And I said, I just paused for a second. Beautiful summer evening, colours were amazing, and I was just connected to nature, and I had this feeling of I knew my place, I knew I needed to do something in nature, and I was just in awe of nature. And I was in love with it. That's the only way I can describe it. It was total love. And I was I've really got to work. I love being outside. I did a lot of hiking at the time, and I've always been in nature, always been in that same woods that I do my events in as well. I've been going in there since a kid. And I was I need to do something here, in this land. and with nature, and that's kind of how it came together, how it sort of glued together, really. But yeah, so that kind of led to it, and then I thought, I've got all this experiential knowledge of like, tough times and stuff like that, and how to help people change the script, come from that one story to romanticizing their future a bit, and to let go of the process, let go of pain, and making space. Once you let go of the pain, you make a space, and it just seemed like it felt very natural to be able to hold space for people, and to be able to feel their pain, and to be like, I'm not into Reiki or anything like that, energy healing. That's not really my bag. But just to be there for someone, and just to hold someone, and to allow them to grieve, or allow them to let something go, to cry, to scream. And I'm like, absolutely go for it. Let it out. You deserve this. This is for you. This is your practice. Especially with the breath work. And just like let it out, let it go. And I'm here. I'm here, safe and loved always. Yeah.
Yeah. Powerful moment you describe around feeling that love, or like being in love.
Yeah.
Which is pretty, as was in So Without. It's the correlation of feeling love for other things directly related to feeling love for you, or the capacity to feel that love, and it really comes always back to love, like everything, and the feeling that we have around loving others, or loving the planet, or the spaces that we're in. It's just a mirror of how much you can hold for yourself.
That's so true.
It's just coming back to that feeling.
Yeah, and I think like how often do we go into nature and say, I love nature? We go into nature and be like, this is a great pastime. Like really, let's come back to nature and be like, actually, like I'm part of this world, and I feel my presence in the world. I feel that I'm part of it, and I actually love being in it. I love spending time in it, and not just doing it because I've ticked the box on like, I need to get my circadian rhythm set. I need to get my cold water dipping today. There's moments where I'm like in the river, and I'm just maybe up to my knees, and I'm just like, actually, I'm going to close my eyes and take a few breaths here, and just really just absorb the moment and just be present. And it's like, that's that feeling. That's where it is. It's back there. I'm back. I'm here. I'm present.
It is. It's back home. It's the feeling of coming back home.
Home. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. And if you can cultivate that feeling, which is entirely possible, but again, I feel I get in the way of those things. My head gets in the way of those things. The things that I think I need to do, or the things that I need to change, or there's no change when you're in that environment. Like it's just is. It's like whole. It's back to ourselves. Like there's nothing outside of that needs changing. And often I find the change and the story about what we need to change, the only thing we need to change is our perception, or like the dissolution of the problems and the obstacles we think we need to get through. It's like coming back to that state and just trying to be there as much as possible.
That's so true, because it's funny, I wrote something the other day, and I'm going to try and get it right. I might paraphrase it, but it's like it basically in a nutshell what you were saying there, and it's like I think you deserve love, but not the type of not like external love. You deserve a love that doesn't burn with a white hot flame, but burns with a smouldering ember, which feels like home, safety, and comfort, which you can rely on in the darkest and coldest of nights. And that love is love for yourself, love for where you are. Often we project ourselves into the future, and we don't love ourselves just enough because we haven't achieved something yet. We haven't got something, but actually just to know that like in here, in your heart, and where you are right now, that's home. And it takes some work, it takes some work. But yeah, I think that's it. Like you said, home, love, it's within. Yeah,
it's hard, man. It's hard to get to that place, and even now I'm like, okay, it makes sense. I get it. Of course it's not outside of myself. Like it's all here. I was innately connected, wild and free when I was born. Like why do I not feel that now?
I'm exactly the same. I feel like we're kind of all in the same boat in a way. It's because there's aspects of us that we deny loving, because there's parts of us, that like, how could we possibly love those parts of us, those mistakes that we've made, and those things that like in it. And maybe it's not so much about loving them straight away. Maybe it's just acceptance to start with, acceptance, and then liking it, and then over time you love it for what it is, and not what you think it should be.
Yeah, to transcend any emotion, you need to accept it first, right?
And that's where the wisdom comes from. Once you've transcended the emotion, isn't it? You get the gifts after that.
Yeah, and I'm sure you'd concur the spaces that you provide for people that I've been a part of, and creating intentionally for other people is, I love being in them because there's so much wisdom within people that comes out, and you're just like, there's so much here for you. It's like you just need the right environment, and the right presence from other people to allow it to just come through. And it just comes out of people, right?
It's so true. And sometimes I'm coming away from the breathwork circle, or from me and Jill hold an event called the Forest Floor, and people kind of let go on that one. Shout out to Jill the Gong Whisperer, she's amazing. Like people, I love people's courage of letting their stuff go, and then like I offer an opportunity. Does anyone want to share in the circle? Would anyone like to share with their experience? And when they say stuff, I'm like, like, wow, and like that resonates with me too. Like I'm getting so much wisdom from them as well. So it's reciprocated. Like and it should be reciprocated. There's no way you should go in there and think, I've just come to teach you some stuff. No way. You got to be accountable yourself. And
yeah, it's good, man. I didn't know much about your journey or your story, or even how you speak to things.
We literally set this up over a week.
Yeah, no, it's great.
I like it on the spot.
But your journey definitely resonates with mine as well. Cool. Especially like drink, drugs, and just like navigating that, and the ways in of around meditation and yoga was a big part of my journey.
Yeah.
Just to release and just have that again environment to sit on the mat and just feel like, I think my first yoga class I ever did was I just cried my eyes out.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know what the fuck that was, but it was pretty strong.
Cracking open some trauma in the cells maybe, but
yeah,
I think for men it like yoga's important, like, because I mean you're only real physical. Well, for the most part, I suppose most people train in the gym and lift weights, and I think lifting weights is great. But like yoga's so much more, like in another aspect, I suppose. It's maybe not more, it's not the right word. But like, you're sort of stretching out your body, but also stretching out like yourself as well. You're doing it like you're yoking something, yoking your stillness within, like just through movement. And I think it's a great way for men to access their spiritual state is to go through the physical realm, like is to go through the yoga process, because it really is important. Like, we're back to that physical thing we were speaking about before, but like especially for men, especially for men to do the physical to get there.
Yeah, for sure. It's like a whole body practice as well.
Yeah,
it's and a moving meditation, which you just have the time and the space, because it's quite silent, a lot of it.
Yeah,
really, like the body speaking to you, but it's not much dialogue within that.
No.
I feel I was used to moving my body in conversation with other people, and there's a big difference when you have an hour-long movement meditation practice. You're just listening.
That's so true.
Creating that stillness, it's phenomenal.
Yeah.
So, what about the men's work? Has that kind of fed into making more sense to you to hold the space for men specifically?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, what I do is like, I wouldn't say it's all encompassing, but I try and hold a space for everyone. But the men's work especially, because I believe that, like, this is my belief as well, but like I'm very open to other people's beliefs as well. But for me, it's like, like, be the physical, be the warrior, be strong, tap into your warrior energy, because you've got that energy, and like we say, the first port of call is the body. But also tap into the stillness, the softness as well. You're a balance. It is a balance, and whether that be masculine or feminine energy, whatever you want to call it, it is a balance. It is a balance in life. You can't do all the heavy stuff and not have some stillness. So when I do the events, or when I do men's work, bring pranayama into it. Bring the breath work into it, because this stuff might be easy for some men. This stuff might be extremely hard, but some men, this stuff is really easy. The stillness is really easy, and maybe they're good meditators and stuff, but maybe they don't do the physical. So I get them to spar, to come up against each other, to have healthy competition and stuff like that as well. It's gentle's not the right word, but it's controlled. To have control as well, and to honour each other. To bow, to have courage to step into the ring with someone, and have the men support you in that circle. To bow before, to bow after. It's a lost art, it's important that
it's almost demonized. It's almost not accepted. There's not really spaces to express that healthy anger.
Do you know what? And that's so important. It's healthy competition is good. A little bit of frustration isn't a bad thing. And it's funny, I got a bit of abuse for holding sparring at events and stuff. I've been doing Thai boxing 12 years. There's no way people are going to get injured, and if they do, it's accounted for. I tell people to be controlled. And like it's so important to to know that you're not made of glass, you know, like to know you've got some physical presence about you, and it gives you a confidence and not an arrogance. I think for me, Thai boxing especially as well, is that like when I initially started, it was all about being, you know, top dog, you know, I want to be able to fight. But now as time's gone on, over the years, it's like, you know, I don't want to fight, you know, only in the ring, you know what I mean? Like, I don't need to fight, you know, it's made me so much more humble, you know, and so much more open to learning. Like, learning begets learning. Yeah.
I think it makes you realise how tough you're not as well.
Yeah, that's right? So true.
Because like true. How easy you can get rocked, or just you're vulnerable. You're not made of glass.
That's so important. And like 12 years on now, and like I'm training with lads that have still trained as long as me, you know, and we're still trying to outsmart each other. And that's a beautiful game of chess in itself, you know, like it's trying to outwit each other all the time. And like you think, oh, you know, I'm on form today, and then like someone will hit you with something. It's like, oh, humble yourself, get back into your zone, get back into your cards, you know. And it's like, I needed that, you know. I come away and I needed that, you know. Trying to reevaluate, you know. It's humbling's a good thing. Humbling's a good thing.
Is that, talking about humility, is there anything that you have been wrong about, or you're still working through? Like, what are those things in the spaces you're creating, or what you're making more room for in your own journey? We spoke before about you keeping consistent with your own practice.
That's it.
And your own showing up for the parts of you that still, you know, you're not fully in acceptance of, whatever it might be.
I think that's it. And I think I couldn't lead space unless I couldn't lead or hold space for people if I wasn't willing to carry on doing the work, willing to carry on and be accountable. Like I said before, I've gone through a breakup, and I feel like it was a wrong time to enter into a relationship. I'd been avoiding some stuff that I hadn't sat with probably forever, you know. So I'm in counselling, doing some work and working with my inner child, and I'm open about that, you know. I'm fine to be open about that as well. But I think it's so crucial, you know, like, and I don't think for 1 second that I shouldn't be working on myself, you know. I think it's a continual journey, you know, and there's never a destination. And when you reach a destination, you find that you've got to do some more work anyway. And I think, like 101 in everything I teach really is like accountability. Yeah, know yourself, but don't just know yourself. Work with yourself too.
Yeah, and I think having a group of people around you that you can ask upon and call upon to call you in on your bullshit as well.
That's so important.
That's a big part of, like, someone said to me the other day how I can't remember the question, but it was like, how do you work through this stuff? And I'm like, I can't, not on my own. Like, I have to have people around me that I trust and I respect, and I know the way they can hold and me and the potential of what I'm asking them for. It's like, how do you friend? Like my friend David talks about how he friends. Like, this is how I friend, and it's like, I'm gonna speak to you about some of the stuff if I think you're not integrity, etc. But it's
that's a good friend right there.
Yeah, definitely. I've been asking myself, like, how do I want a friend, and how do I want to speak to some things that don't serve me in relationships, and like how I need them to serve me. Because unless we know what helps us or serves us, then if we're not communicating that to the people around us, then how the fuck do they know, like, how to friend us? Yeah,
no, exactly. I think you know, like, and that's why it's great to have some. I think men are really good at that, you know, like, or, you know, most men are really good at being like, men find it hard to talk, yes, but they will call you out on your bullshit if you're bullshitting yourself.
They'll be direct.
Yeah, they'll go like, they'll say, what are you doing that for? You know what I mean? Like, that's not right, you know. And that's the type of friend you need. I think as well as, like, I'm a big advocate of counselling. You know, I'm a big advocate of the breath work, a big advocate of journaling, meditation, all this stuff. But a big advocate of counselling because it's an unbiased perspective on a window into your life, and it's great to bounce your ideas of how your life is and what you're experiencing to them, and them to go, actually, you know, like, you're missing this and that, and this is what you need to work with, you know.
So what would you say is the difference between counselling and therapy?
I think, I mean, there's different models of therapy, isn't there? But like, I think, like, going over, for me, we go over the past a little bit,
Yeah, because we hear about therapy more than counselling, I think.
Yeah, we do. I feel like
in the spaces aren't.
Like psychodynamic and stuff like that, and psychotherapy, like going back over what has gone in your life,
sure,
to sort it out.
Digging.
But often that doesn't help.
It
doesn't. Like you go to. I think as creatures, like we said before, about we want to pinpoint something. We want to find something in our life where we pinpoint what happened to us and the reason why we can't change, and be like, aha moment, I found it. This will change everything. But even if you knew the how and why it happened, it doesn't mean you've got the resources or the skill to assess that and to change it in your life. The only real action that we can take is in this moment right now. It's working with maybe the unlovable feeling you feel as an inner child, or whatever it may be, and it's working in the moment to work on that. So maybe counselling is more, and I might be wrong, but yes, understanding yourself first, but then working with what you've got and how you feel right now to create the life that you want to live and be the person that you want to become.
Yeah, nice. So maybe a little bit of a bridge between coaching and therapy.
Yeah.
Potentially.
Yeah, I mean, I did the whole coaching thing originally, and it didn't vibe with me, because like people come to you with counselling problems,
Okay.
And I don't think a coach should really be fielding them.
Fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting, all those spaces and talking. They call it talking therapy, but I guess it's all kind of. A lot of it is talking, but I think the benefit of coaching is that you go through tools and practices.
Yeah, it's action-based.
Yeah, you can be led through experiences also.
Yeah.
Which kind of works, but it's just language.
It's a minefield.
Language gets a bit ridiculous and doesn't serve us when we start to label what this is and what expectations are around the something. Because it really is relatable to the person holding that experience for you.
Yeah, that's it, exactly. Find yourself, and back to having a great coach, get a great coach who's going to give you wisdom and lessons. Get a great counsellor, someone who actually vibes with you. You know what I mean? And that's important. It's not just don't just pick a counsellor and be like, okay, I'm in counselling. Like shop about. Realize who's for you.
Yeah,
I think as well is when you're doing the counselling. Yeah, you're going to go over your past stuff and it's going to bring emotions up and that. But it's what you do with them afterwards. It is doing the work afterwards, because there's no good going to an hour-long coaching or counselling session just going, I'm feeling a bit better now, I've offloaded. It's like doing the journaling afterwards, write to yourself, write to your inner child, grieve, write a letter to your grandma, whatever it may be, do the work, sit with it.
That's the hardest part.
It is the hardest part, yeah. It's getting yourself to sit.
It's easy to rock up to an experience and be like, right, I'm here, this is uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is nothing compared to what's going to be after this.
Yeah.
And how hard that is.
Yeah.
So let's just enjoy this.
Yeah, that's it. And to be fair, a release isn't maybe not at the time, but afterwards it's like,
but when you're feeling safe, it's very enjoyable.
But and I say this to the people that come to my events, and they'll do the heavy breath work and they'll release and cry and stuff, and they'll maybe get images that come up and things that they haven't dealt with. And I'm like, I don't want you to come to every breath session, and yes, it's like peeling back the layers of an onion. You might learn more each time, but I don't want you to come to every breath session and just do the breath all the time. Go away, do the work, and do the work on what you've learned. Think about it, meditate on it, journal about it. I always say that, and then come back if you want to come back and learn more. Don't be a spiritual groupie.
Spiritual tourism, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it.
I was at a Vipassana once, and someone mentioned that, like, we're just shopping around the spiritual realm, seeing what resonates, take what. And then there's something to the Bruce Lee of leave what doesn't resonate.
Yeah.
But then how much are you going from space to space?
Yeah.
Because I've done that.
Same with philosophies as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Which there's nothing innately wrong with that, but I think it can become like anything. It's like, why are you doing the thing? There's a light and dark to it all. The one thing, it's not advice, it's what's worked for me. In terms of coaching, is if that person, my coach, if I'm really excited about the call, and I'm not nervous, or I'm not like a slightly don't want to be there, uncomfortable about going, like if that's not present, then it might not be the best space for you.
Okay.
I feel that's where I've got the most benefit, is when I really don't want to be on that call, but I do it anyway. Because they just cut through all the stuff, literally, and they're like, speaks directly to what it is you're feeling, like bringing it out and holding that with like real, like, just a kind of an unemotional way. There's like a real craft to that, like how you can really stand in your emotion as a coach or as a therapist or a counselor, and then just speak directly, penetrate the experience of the person, but like call them in, but hold them in that. It's like, it's a real art.
It really is. It really is. And it's knowing what to say at the right time for the experience they're having.
For sure.
And I think like what you're saying there resonates with most things in life. And it's like, if it feels uncomfortable, like if you don't want to go training, and if you don't want to do the run, and you don't want to go to do the cold water dip, then you most certainly should go and just get it done. Like, do the hard thing first. Just go and do it. Get it done. Get it out of the way.
Yeah, the thing you're avoiding is probably the thing you should be doing.
Yeah, exactly.
It's hard.
Yeah,
it's hard, man.
It is.
So, what do I want to ask you?
I've got something I'd like to say about how.
Go for it, man.
About the philosophy, about like you were talking about, like we flip from things, you know, like spiritual groupie almost, and same with like philosophies. It's very easy to get caught up on social media and read a million quotes and think, oh, they all resonate with me. For me, I'm like, I'm a bit of a stoic, you know. I love the discipline, the temperance, the justness of it, of like the, I'm ambitious, but making sure I don't let ambition control me, like those sort of things. And I feel like, have a philosophy, and don't let your philosophy, like your means suit a philosophy, you know, like don't I'm going to let a philosophy, do you know what I mean? So like, don't let, just, I'm going to make it work for me, this philosophy, do you know what I mean? Let your philosophy work on you. Like, you know, really, really, like, bolster it down. You know, have some convictions and discipline. It takes, like, you know, think about your morals, man. Like it takes some real conviction to be something and live in tune with that. And, like, and the stuff that you get from it is powerful, you know, like, that's like standing up to yourself almost, because it's very easy to give in to your pleasures. It's very easy to say, oh, I'm sacking it off today, you know, I'm just going to do what I want, you know, but, like, it takes conviction to be...
and kid yourself as well. You're gonna pull the wool over your own eyes. More often than not.
Yeah, definitely.
Because we're biased and it's easy to just kid yourself, and your coping strategies become better.
Yeah.
You know, that hits for sure. It's important to recognise. So, what's coming up for you, and what's like the future hold, and where do you see yourself moving into? And also, have you done any? That's what I was going to say. Have you done any events around the UK?
So I've done a few in Manchester.
Okay.
I am
still northern.
Still northern at the minute. I'm heading down into Devon to do a 4-day retreat at the lovely, I don't know if you've heard of it, Zen Jungle. It's like an immersive space of nature. So it's like, there's like, excuse me. There's 5 lakes. There's yurts. You know, like, it's like all the food is grown there. You know, it's amazing. So it's like a deep dive back into what is natural. A deep dive back into conscious connection and conversations with nature, with yourself, with the people around you, and just like immersing yourself back into what you really are, and coming out of it with some wisdom, some knowledge about yourself, you know, like we'll be doing yoga practices, we'll be doing the breath work, we'll be doing deep nature meditations. They have a ancient forest there as well, so connecting back to that nature, connecting back to that circadian rhythm, connecting to the water, you know, those things. So that's coming up, that'll be really good. And I host regular events in the northeast, in beautiful forests and stuff. I try and do everything outside if I can, you know. I love doing the stuff outside, and people love it too as well. I've got an app coming out. I've got an app coming out. Yeah, that's in the pipe works right now. That's nearly done. But that's not just for me in the breath work. That's for everyone. So the premise behind it is to bring this eclectic group of people that are teaching amazing stuff. They're going to share their stuff on videos, and you're going to be able to access them at any time. So like they'll be like yogis, breathwork, cacao ceremonies. You know, I want to bring so many amazing people out there doing amazing things that aren't getting a spotlight on them. And they should be brought into the
online. Socials are getting so convoluted and harder for people to kind of, you know, it's just very, it's tricky because it's a game on socials. But if there's something people can connect with when you haven't got to hit certain algorithms to you know.
It is a bit of a game on the social media and stuff, and I think that's like it's a big struggle in our world, you know, in helping people.
Because how good is someone is at content creating or being really creative on a digital platform? It's not a reference for how
not at all
well they hold the thing they're doing.
Not at all. And that's the thing. I mean, for example, Jill, the Gong Whisperer, you know, she's an amazing space holder. Like there's no one does gongs like Jill. No one. Like she's amazing. And she just doesn't like social media, and I don't blame her. She wants to learn more about it and do more stuff on it. But to be honest, I'm sure we could probably all feel the same. If we could get away without using it, we might. But so it is about bringing those people together, and the app as well makes it accessible for everyone all over the place, so they can tap into that any time, which is great.
I'd like to get your thoughts, feelings on the Northeast. They're like the North in general, because I'm not from up here. I spent 4 years up here though.
Yeah.
So and I come back every couple of months, and I'm doing events and part of events all over the UK. And there is a significance of the energy. Of course,
changing,
it's different for every place in the UK, but there is a real raw and sometimes heaviness in the North. Like how does that, I guess, impact your perspective on these spaces and the shifts that are probably happening? Moreover, in the space that you're creating, because they're few and far between up here. I feel like the more north you go, I term it in the more kind of dated things are, like the slower things get into the mainstream.
Yeah, so true. Yeah,
but that's quite. And you go all the way into Scotland, and you're like, you'd be forgiven for thinking like yoga's just not real, like, or something like that, just of that nature.
Yeah.
The further north you go, that seems to be the case. And I just love to observe the spaces, even the conscious clubbing that I'm a part of, and creating that space for people to dance. It's like, what else is there? There's not. We created it because there's a need and a demand.
Yeah, there really is a need for it. Yeah,
and it's like no one dances without being intoxicated from some level. So it's just interesting. Like, I'd love to get your thoughts and feelings on the North, just in broad strokes.
It's hardy, it's a working class area, it's a lot of industrialization that's gone now, and it doesn't mean that the values and the morals of that industrialization and the working classes has left, and it's like, I feel like I could be wrong, because I'm not going down south and going to these circles and stuff down south, but I feel like down south people are more, especially men, are more open to go and do the circles, to go and do the work and stuff. But up north, it's particularly hard to get men to events.
There's not many that come to conscious clubbing.
No, and same for the breathwork. You maybe get one or two, and the men stuff originally when I first set up, God, what a carry on I had to even get people there, and I got a bit of shit for it, doing it as well, for I got a bit of abuse online, nothing I can't handle, I just said, see you in a bit. And
I did, when I started a men's group, I was like, let's meet around the fire, it's like 30 quid a month, and someone messaged me saying, well, the gym's 30 quid and they have showers, and they started going, and I'm like, it's a very different space. They couldn't separate themselves from a different thing, but linked to like wellness. But
the thing is, as well, is we've been sitting around the fire for thousands of years. It's not that really out of tune with what we are. It's only really in the last few hundreds of years that, we're doing the things that we're doing. It seems it's more natural, especially for a man. You know what I mean? Like, it's to go camping, to be with the men, to be around the fire, to cook something over the fire. Like, that's primal. Like, if you want to be, I don't like the phrase, but more manly, if you like. You know what I mean? And come sit by the fire. We'll have a crack. You might not need to talk about anything, but you might need to talk about something, and let's just have a chat. There's no harm in that. And when the men do come together, I've noticed when they do the men's circles and that, like it's great. It's great fun. And it's like the camaraderie of it is amazing. Like, especially the sparring and stuff, like the respect, and maybe your ego's a little bit bruised because you've had to spar and your pride's hurting a little bit, but then we come and talk about it around the fire afterwards. I'm like, it's important space. It's an important space, and it's innate. It's innate to us.
How about creating the space for the younger generation?
So this is my next mission. This is my next mission, believe it or not, because I was that youth.
Has to be, right?
Yeah,
it really has to be.
Got to be. I mean, I didn't have any really have any male role models growing up, and the one that I did have, my stepfather, he passed away actually of cancer when I was young, and I didn't accept him. So I didn't get the opportunity to have a male role model, a positive male role model in my life. So now I've become what I believe to be, and I hope to be, a strong man able to lead, and I feel like the boys aren't being able to turn into men because they're not getting up the opportunity to, like, when they come to 16, that coming of age thing. It's an ancient tradition, but it doesn't have to be steeped in mysticism and you know, and woo. You know, it can be like an important, just like, you know, the right of a boy to turn into a man. You know, it's so important, so important.
Yeah, it's important.
Yeah.
So how do you see that being integrated into your kind of space?
So you'd be surprised how many people have asked me to do this, and like I keep getting a nudge to do it, and I just haven't set it up yet. But I will, and I'm going to.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's going to be very based on, like, you know, the stuff I do with the men.
Yeah.
But, you know, and getting the young lads together. You know, maybe we will even spar. You know, like, maybe we will do some self defense, and maybe we will sit with ourselves. Maybe we will talk around the fire, and maybe it will be ceremony-esque. You know what I mean? Like I'm not too keen on making it a mega ceremony. You know, I just want it to be. I want it to be an enjoyable experience as well. But I want them to know they come away and they're like, you know, you're a man now. You know, like, and if you need us, you know, the circle, us together, we're a brotherhood, and we can come together and help one another.
Yeah, I think when I look back, and I've spoken about it many times on podcasts, of like the elders in the friendship groups that I had, like mums and dads and stuff. It's like, what did I really need from that environment?
Yeah.
I needed men, women who I could go to, and for them to be present, for them to be connected to themselves, to have a mission, to have a direction, to be enjoying their life and in love with their life.
That's it, yeah.
How many of those do we have around us? Because the testament of every human, but elders, because we looked at elders for direction, it's like, are they connected to their lives? It's not very normal, but you know, the spaces that we're in, it's becoming a little bit more normal, where people are redesigning and creating lives that they want to live. That's it. So that's more crucial than even setting up some thing that has all these activities. Or it's actually just being around men and women that are standing for something,
exactly,
and in tune with their bodies and their emotions, and can actually like express in a healthy way that feels good. And it's just more of a resonance.
It is.
You can say all the words, but how are you saying them? From where? You know? And
also, are you living it? Are you saying the words, or are you living it? And I think that's important as well. And I think like, and it's back to that, having a philosophy, you know, but sharing your philosophy, not pushing it on people, but sharing your philosophy and being like, you know, I'm living a good life now. You know, I really enjoy my life, and I really enjoy what I share with you. And, you know, I know these things work. So if you want to come in and join that, you know, you're more than welcome. And I think for young men especially, I think, you know, like the lack of seeing maybe men enjoying their lives, you know, like, or having healthy relationships with their folks, or healthy relationships with their partners and stuff, is lacking. And, you know, to have a healthy relationship with a man who is, or man or woman even, who is, you know, knows himself enough to enjoy their life, and, you know, that's important. Very important.
Always comes back to those relationships.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Nice, man. Is there anything you want to leave people on with? Anything you want to speak to?
Like, thank you so much for having me on today as well. I just want to say that. Like, yoke some stillness within yourself, but know you're a warrior in other aspects of your life. And, you know, we don't get the answers we seek from a busy mind. We get the answers we seek from a still mind. So it's a worthy endeavour to work on yourself.
Nice, brother. Thank you, man.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate you, bro.
Thank you so much.